Professor Wergeles here. We are on lecture number 30. We are moving on to the second example. We are on data retrieval number 2. So you can open up the second directory, and we're going to look at index.html. Now, in this file, you'll see something similar. When the page loads, I'm going to create a new application class, and I'm passing a parameter to the application class, which is going to be the name. And I'm going to call app.start. You'll see here's the application class. This is the constructor, and I'm taking a name in as a parameter, and I'm going to set a property of name. And then here's my application start function. When I call start, it's going to print out this. Now this is going to be the application object, which we'll see here in a little bit. And in the application start method, we're going to create a new advertisement and call the retrieve method, which is going to pass a function called onDataRetrieved, which is going to pass a function called onDataReceived. You'll see the retrieve method is down here. Okay, it makes the GET request and takes a parameter of onSuccess, which is onDataRetrieved. You'll see the application has that prototype, which is a method that's going to print out the data. So it's going to print out the name, the data. Now, if we look at info.php, we're going to see what this file returns. So I'm going over to info.php. And you're going to see you just won $1 million. So it's the same thing as we saw before. It's just going to print back a string, and we're going to display that string on the console or in an alert. So if I go back to index.html, you'll see that I'm just going to do a console log with the data. Now here's the thing. Okay, so I'm creating a new instance of application and dynamically assigning the name. Okay, so here's application, here's my name, and I'm calling app.start. App.start is a function or a method that's going to print out the keyword this. Okay, so let's see this print out so we can see what we have. So I'm going to comment out lines 25 and line 26 if you look right here. I'm going to save the code, and I'm going to upload the code to the server. I'm going to go back on the browser. I'm going to run number 2. I need to right-click, do an inspect. You'll see the developer tools open. I'm going to open up the console. So you'll see when I print out this, it is the application object. That's going to be a class. I'm going to open up the application class. You'll see it has name equal to Professor Wergeles, and then it has a prototype. So the prototype's an object. It has onDataReceived, and it has a constructor, and it has the default prototype. So value of, toString, local compare. Okay, these are the default prototypes for an object. So all objects have these prototypes. This is the default prototype for every object. So this is object class, and every class or object inherits all of these properties and methods. You'll see I have onDataReceived. If I open this up, it has no arguments. Okay, and it talks about the information of that prototype. So this is the application object instance, which you'll see here, which has the name, which is right here. That's a property, and also has a prototype of onDataReceived, which is right here. OnDataReceived will print out the keyword this, and then do a console log with name and the data. Okay, so let's go ahead and comment these lines back in. Once I call start, it's going to create a new instance of advertisement, which is down here. And then it's going to call the retrieve method. The retrieve method or function is here. It takes a parameter onSuccess, just like we saw before, and it's going to make a GET request and call that method. In this case, we're saying onDataReceived, which will then do a console log with name and data. So I'm going to upload the code, and let's see what these other print statements execute. So I'm going to do a refresh. You'll see the first of this is application. Then I create a new advertisement, and I call retrieve. Retrieve is going to print out this. You'll see this is actually the advertisement object. If I open that up, you'll see it has a prototype of retrieve. Retrieve takes one parameter, which is on success. And then after I call on success, which is going to be our on data received, I'm also printing out the keyword this. You'll see that's just a regular object, which is actually going to be the jQuery GET context. So everything that this GET request contains is in this on success. So you'll see it's all about the GET request. It's a www form URL encoded. That's what a GET request encodes the data as. You'll see the response can be XML or text, just like a regular AJAX request, which we've seen in the previous examples during the previous lectures for AJAX. You'll see the type is GET, the URL is info.php. Okay, so this is all information about the GET request. So when I try to print this.name, you'll see I'm actually printing out the jQuery's GET request content. And if I open up that, it has nothing to do with name. Name is actually back in our application class. Okay, it has nothing to do with the GET request. So when I try to do this final print, name is undefined, but data is there, because if I open up the GET request, you'll see the on success passes in data, which is going to be the data from the server. Okay, so I go down, here's my GET request. I'm making a GET request info.php. It prints back, you've just won $1 million, and that's going to be my parameter for the on success method, which prints out successfully. However, this.name does not. And that is because I have an application class, I have a advertisement class, and I have a GET request. So the keyword this is different for all three of them. Now, I'm trying to make this more dynamic. I have an application. That application may have several advertisements, and all the advertisements may call back a different function based off of the success. So I'm adding another layer of abstraction to make this more dynamic. So the application has a name. It can be any name, so I can have several people. Every person has a different advertisement, and every advertisement may call back a different function based off of the success. So in this case, the keyword this represents different context, and thus will print out different things. So if I add another layer of abstraction, I have the application, which can have many different people, and every person may have a different advertisement. We have to be careful of how we use the keyword this. Now, if we continue to the next video, I'll show you how to solve this problem. But what you should do is try to solve it yourself. Think about how we can print out the name without getting it undefined. Why am I not able to print out the name? And how can I fix this problem? If you do this yourself, you'll understand the concepts of prototypes better, as well as objects, which will help you for the final exam. Once you give it a valid attempt, go ahead and continue to the next video. We'll see you in the next video.